Well, I'm having one of my favorite dinners this evening. Fresh collard greens out of the garden, some pork chops in there, and some Jimmy Red cornbread. Now, folks, look at that cornbread right there. See how dark and rich it is? I'm telling you, you've never experienced life till you tasted some whole grain, homemade, homegrown Jimmy Red cornbread. It has a flavor there that's just hard to describe. It's earthy, yet it is sweet. It's just absolutely delicious. And if there's one thing I would tell you to try before your days is up, is some homemade Jimmy Red cornbread.
We're going to make some cornbread today from this Jimmy Red corn we grew last spring. I'm using a sheller here to get the kernels off. Greg's already put up his big sheller for the season. He bought this sheller on Amazon. It's very inexpensive and it gets the job done. You can see here there's a lot of trash in here, and I'm going to show you how you can easily get that out. Just set you up a fan and slowly pour the corn into another pan, and I did this several times, and eventually all the trash was out of it. Very simple process to do. Next, we're going to grind this corn up with my mock mill stone grinder. We used to carry these, but we don't anymore. You can find them online. I've got it at a coarse setting, and I'm going to take a fine mesh screen and sift out the grits from the cornmeal. Just move it around with your fingers until you have all the cornmeal in the bottom, and what's left on the top will be the grits. This recipe, you need 1 1/4 cups of coarsely ground cornmeal. Add 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. I have these combined. Stir up your dry ingredients, get those blended in well. Add a 1/3 cup of whole milk and 1 cup of buttermilk. Add 2 eggs that are lightly beaten. And the last ingredient is 8 tablespoons of butter. Now, while you're mixing this up, have your skillet in your oven heating up and put 1 tablespoon of butter. You want to put this into a hot cast iron skillet. There's my butter, about a tablespoon in the bottom melted. And watch this sizzle. That butter's going to make a good crispy crust on this cornmeal. Again, have your oven at 425. Put it in the center of your oven for 20 to 25 minutes. And voila, look how pretty that is. Now, when you cook this, I'm not sure why, but it actually turns blue. And it's so moist and light. Mr. Hoss loves it. For the grits, I'm going to take the coarse part of the meal and cover them in water and let them sit on the counter overnight. The red particles will float to the top, and you'll just skim that off before you put them in your pan. I like to cook mine in the slow cooker for a couple hours when I have time. Start off with 1 block of cream cheese, and this has been softened. To that cream cheese, you want to add about 1.5 cups of melted butter. And just keep incorporating that till you have it mixed up really well. It's not going to completely melt yet. That's okay. You just want that butter and cream cheese to be blended the best you can. Now, this is not a low-fat recipe. Next, add your grits to the mixture. And there's a little bit of water left over in the pan. And just go ahead and add that water in there. And as the cream cheese melts, you will have a creamy mixture. I do not add any water until the end to get the desired consistency. So as that cream cheese melts and that butter and it all incorporates, it's a creamy, delicious mixture and a taste that you just are not going to get with store-bought grits. I'm going to add some salt for seasoning, and you can add any other seasoning. I have added some bacon grease before. It just depends on how I feel that day. I'm going to add about 1 cup, maybe 1.5 cups of buttermilk. And you can actually leave this step out, but it does really enhance the flavor. Look at those grits. They've cooked for about 2 hours on high. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget, check out the description below for product links and resources. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.